Okay, welcome back to the Pittsburgh Curling Club. It's the 5 and Under World Championship. 16 teams from across the United States, Canada, the Far East have descended upon Stowe Township for the inaugural 5 and Under World Championship. Dave Schmel joined by Trevor Matthew today, and this is our final draw of pool play. In this match, we feature Team Doyon from Canada versus Team Rose from the United States. And Team Doyon, Patrick Doyon is the skip, Jeremy Merville is the vice, Sylvain Doyon is the second, and Luc Verville is the lead. For Team Rose, Christian Rose is the skip, Anna Murphy the vice, Tim Murphy throwing second, and Cameron Cabrera is the lead. Both these teams have already qualified for the playoff round, so they'll be in those quarterfinals that will be starting this evening. This game is for seeding to determine where they will be in that championship bracket. We do have 3 other games going on right now. You can catch those streams right at Pittsburgh Curling Club YouTube channel. There are still some playoff spots up for grabs.
Yeah, should be an interesting match here today. See if these teams just, how much they want to fight for that being in the 1 through 4 seeds versus being in the 5 through 8.
They always want the easiest way through the bracket that you possibly can. And it is Team Rose with the hammer here in the first end. So now here's Anna Murphy. Looking to throw the hit and roll under here. Has the hit, no problem. Not going to get any sort of discernible roll, just going to be right there on the beak. First skip rocks coming up on right now, so it will be Patrick Doyon. Home Curling Club is the Aurel Curling Club and the Sorel Tracy Curling Club in Quebec. 5 years of curling. Winner of the 2022 Quebec Provincial 5 and Under. And it's been to the Tankard twice. Still on the way from Patrick here. Grabs the hit, rolls off to the side of the house, and they lie 1-2. Chris Rose is going to look to line up the double takeout to try to force the blank here. Chris from Denver, Colorado. Been playing for 6 years. He's actually the 3rd best curler in his house. His son and daughter are competing at U18 Nationals right now at the Rock Creek Curling Club in Lafayette, Colorado. And he won, apparently he's a bit of a cook, has won a chowder cook-off. Trevor, are you a fan of chowder?
I'm a Midwestern guy at heart. Chowder's not exactly up our sleeve, but not bad. I'll take it.
Seared scallop chowder is apparently his specialty. This one's on the way. He's going to come on down. You're going to get the first one. You get the second one also. Oh, just slides on by. It's very close for shot stone right here. Does appear to be yellow by just a hair. So it'll be a hit and stick for 2. To lie to, rather. And feel free to join us in the chat if you have any questions. Like, we know that some of our viewers may not be tremendously familiar with the game of curling. So we'd be more than happy to share our insights and help you learn a little bit more and learn to like this silly little game that we play. Holding this one nicely for the line. Going to get the hit and roll half under cover. They do lie 1 and 2. Nice shot by the skipper there. So the force is on. It's an open draw for 1. Going to need to grab a piece of the forefoot for a single point, will Chris Rose.
Not always an easy feeling there when you know you're only in the first end and all of a sudden you're forced to find just the forefoot error.
Absolutely, and you know, everybody who's a newer curler, and especially folks at this tournament, have all heard that crotchety old skip at their curling club who will say, if you can't draw the forefoot in your back pocket, you got no business skipping. So final stone of the first end on the way. Chris Rose. This one needs to go. They kind of like the weight now. It's coming on in, and will it settle into the forefoot? Pretty good. Cool as a cucumber, and he gets his single point. 1-0 in their favor. Doyon has the hammer in the second. Back here now, second hand action, pool play. Our continuing coverage of the 5 and Under World Invitational here at the Pittsburgh Curling Club in Stowe Township, Pennsylvania. Located just outside of downtown Pittsburgh through the Fort Pitt Tunnel, close to the airport. Beautiful 4-sheet facility, which opened in 2020. Great timing.
Always lovely to open a facility 2 weeks before a pandemic shuts down the country.
And even tougher when you had a great big old mortgage to go along with it. So with that being said, if you love what you're seeing and appreciate us putting on this tournament, one, it's our pleasure to do it for you, but if you happen to have, a couple spare quarters, nickels, dollars, million, you can happy to make a tax-deductible donation to the Pittsburgh Curling Club. You can go to pittsburghcurlingclub.com. We have lots of stuff that we can name after you.
Absolutely. Naming rights from a rock to the whole club, happily up for grabs.
We're not proud. We can certainly be bought. Trying to walk this one over. Nicely done. They make the hit, and they rolled pretty much directly under cover. So, Chris Rose is going to ask Tim Murphy to make this throw under cover. Tim Murphy's originally from Montana. Won the 2024 Broomstone Men's Field up there in Wayland, Massachusetts, and the Mile High Open in Denver. It also has the distinction of being the 2023 Denver Curling Club Volunteer of the Year. Now, Team Verville here and Team Doyon, they're a family affair. All related in some way or another. Bring this one nicely to sit to and even things out here in the house. It is Jeremy Verville in the house calling the game. Making his dad do all the brushing. I don't know if I was Luke there, I might be calling some BS.
Yeah, it's a bold strategy.
Say, I brought you in this world, son. Why am I doing all this brushing? That's why I had you. So it's the two Doyon brothers and Papa and son Verville. Now Chris Rose looking to have vice skip Anna Murphy remove one of her own stones here so they have a better way in later. Oh, excuse me, holy heck, Toledo, Ohio. That's exactly the way you drew it up, indeed.
Yeah, that's one of those, the first word out of your mouth if you're the skip is probably sorry.
Yeah, but for all the years of doing this, have you ever put it back? I mean,
Certainly not. Certainly not.
Sorry about that. Here, let's just put it back, there, and you stay buried. It's kind of like in tennis. They're always waving and apologizing when they hit the net cord. It's there for a reason. It's part of the playing court. So here's Jeremy Verville looking to re-split the house here, come under cover. Playing the other turn. First time we've seen one curl down this way 100%. This is in that good stuff, and it's going to slide, slippery slide all the way down to the back 12. And through. So you played earlier today, Trevor. How was the ice? Was it fast still, or?
I did. I think this morning's draw, we had probably the fastest ice of the weekend so far. So somehow the ice continues to get better throughout the weekend.
Well, you'll find that a lot of times in an event, because one thing about curling ice is it likes being maintained. And when you're in a larger tournament and you can keep on scraping it and scraping and scraping it, the conditions tend to get more and more optimal as the weekend goes on. So you really are controlling all the variables with minimum lag time in between. Now that one comes to the top 8 foot. It's half buried. They're going to try to pop and flop this under cover. Pretty safe choice. So Jeremy, for the last 2 years, has been 4th place in the Quebec 5 and under. Works as a controller.
Sweepers on this one immediately.
And I understand his nickname, actually, Minute, actually translates to little cat. Yeah, good shot there. Didn't get much of a roll. I mean, I think that's one of the most common things you see with newer curlers and newer skips. They love calling the hit and roll, hit and roll, make this hit and roll, make that hit and roll. But behind a dead freeze, a hit and roll is the toughest shot in curling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it may be the right call and maybe the call you'd see in the Olympics, but not always the most makeable call.
So ultimately you want to, the best calls a shot is something that your player is going to make and make consistently and be a positive outcome for you.
Yeah, especially at the 5U level. So often it's more about what can this thrower make reliably.
I was subbing in at my own home club, and this one's going to come into contact, roll a little bit over buried, does clear it, so that hit and roll was thrown quite nicely, actually. As I mentioned how difficult it is, they have to just throw it. So well done there. Well done, you.
They said, forget you, Dave. We know what we're doing down here.
A lot of people say forget you, Dave. I mean, that's just par for the course. But anyway, I was skating down, and I was subbing in on this team on a Sunday evening, and I suggested the shot, and this young new curler said, well, can't you do this and can't you do that? And you could throw that double run and stick it there. I'm like, so I got down to my vice and say, oh, young Brandon has an idea for me. We're going to do this. I did not make it. This one is heavy, is going to visit the house. Will it stay and have a cup of coffee? It is gone and off the back. Still in play in a tripping hazard. Well, maybe not. It's not now. That's an interesting thing for maybe some of people who are not familiar with the game. The vertical lines, as we're looking at them, so the sidelines are treated like American football. So if you touch it, the stone is out. Whereas every line that's horizontal is like soccer. The entire stone has to cross it for it to be valid. So looking to bury undercover here. He does lie one. His opponent has the hammer, so
Certainly in good shape here. A chance to come under your own guard, split the house, and really set up a force or potentially a steal of one or even two.
it's on a great line. It just doesn't have the steam. So the force is on. It's going to be a draw for one. Just needs to get the whole 12-foot. So Pat Doyon facing one with the final stone of end number two. Line looks fine. It's all about the weight. Just needs to be full 12-foot. Lots of house to work with. Coming on down. Just escorting and Dusty and home. No problem for the skip there. We're all tied up at one after two. From Pittsburgh, we'll have the third end coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to Pittsburgh. Third end here at the 500 World Championship. Presented by the Pittsburgh Curling Club. We're all tied up here. It's one apiece. Team Rose has the hammer. They are throwing the yellow rocks. And here is the lead for Team Rose. Cameron Cabrera. He's originally from Miami, Florida. Two-time winner of Club Nationals at both Walsall when it was held there in 2023 and Potomac at 2020. That's a rather infamous event, as it was the first super spreader event. And welcome to the chat. Elsa Cabrera says, let's go Cam and Team Rose. That was a nicely thrown draw. It did tuck under there. So Luke Verville trying to follow it down. Just was a little bit narrow in the broom, so it is Team Rose line one buried. And here's Cam with his second. This one has plenty of room. Taking the break now. We've seen good finish at the end.
Yeah, all weekend long here. Once the rocks start to bite, they'll curl in hard. But if you're a hair trigger happy on that sweep call, they will just sail and sail.
And Ellie Kepi joining us as well. 22 viewers, thanks so much. Also rooting for Team Rose. Team Rose having their fans come out by the fives. And that just wicks. Leaves everything there now. Taking a look at it there, you see they have the one in the top 8 and one in the back 12. Top 4, rather. They are electing to try to sneak another one underneath this red. And Trevor, I think I almost would prefer a guard here at this point. Because if you do manage to get it in underneath that cover, it is oh so short of a run for your opponent.
I would tend to agree with you. You're only talking a 4-foot, 5-foot run back there, although the red guard's also really close to touching each other, so maybe they think the angle's not there, but they end up throwing a guard anyway.
Yeah, they don't appear to be corner hooked, and see Jeremy indicating that he wants some sort of blow up. He gave the international blow it up.
C'est bon. Just like that, that's it.
Does rearrange the deck chairs there some. It's looking to
That's
throw
all.
the guard right back in there. Stone on the way from Murphy. This needs to come on up. It has all the weight, and you see this so often. And the third end is when the ice really reaches its full potential. Now, there were 2 practices ahead of this, so each team had a full 9-minute practice. oftentimes the third end, you find stones just drift a little bit too far on people.
Absolutely. I know this morning in our game, that third and fourth end stones all the way up to 4.2, 4.3 split times into the house. Well over 15-second long times.
So here's Jeremy Verville. He's going to look to open things up now. On this one, hard for the line. Really close. On the one, do you get two? Do you get all three going? You rearrange them. You move them all the way out of the main scoring zone. But it is still two yellow stones hanging on in the rings. So great effort by Jeremy there. Just needed to hit a little bit different to deliver a little bit more energy into those stones. So now Anna Murphy will have the opportunity to put a third counter in. You don't want to be too deep here.
Yeah, this is one I don't think you want really any more than top 12.
Right, but at the same time, you don't want to offset it with your own rock. Because if Jeremy ever tucks one underneath there, you need to have access via the run. It looks like Jeremy's going to say that discretion is the better part of Valley here. He's going to address the one on the side of the rings and try to take a roll in towards the middle. It's always a long way out to the wings.
I like the decision there, though. At some point, every once in a while it's about changing strategy and let's start to limit damage and make sure nothing crazy happens.
On this one, right out of his hand, this needs to run out, and it's going to run right on by. Just never got out to the broom there. Didn't have a chance. So Anna Murphy is originally from Ireland. Iowa, that's a whole different than Ireland.
Just a few miles away.
Yeah, well, I saw that she had played in the Manian at the Belfast Curling Club, so I had Belfast in my mind, even though that's Belfast, Maine. I'm aware. Don't.
Hey, no judgment. Judgment-free zone here, Dave.
We're at Planet Fitness or an airport bar.
A touch heavy on this one, but it will hang around there and leave yellow sitting 3.
So now, you talk about shifting gears. Might be time to downshift again, as my friends up in upstate New York would say, downshifting saves lives. Just heard about 27 stones move at once on a different sheet. That game on sheet B, it does have playoff implications. We'll try to keep you updated on all the scores as we get a little bit further on, but those two teams, Team Blyven and Team Lee, are very much involved in the playoff hunt. So here's Patrick Doyon with his first of 2 in the third end. This one has over-curled and it's on the guard. So all the warning bells have to be going off for Team Doyon right now, because they are facing 1, 2, and 3 counters for Team Rose. with the opportunity for them to sink another one in.
Certainly Team Doyon in a little bit of danger here of really giving up a big end and letting this thing open up early.
So right now, you're facing an embarrassment of riches right now, but where do you want to put one, Trevor?
This is a tough call. I think if it's me, you certainly work around that red and force them to maybe try a run back and hope it goes any sort of awry, and then you've really got a chance to put 4 or 5 on no matter what.
Ultimately, a lot of times I'd ask myself this question that is, I didn't throw, where would my opponent put a rock? And oftentimes that answers your question. So first of 2 here for the yellow skip, Chris Rose. He's trying to work this one all the way around the outside. Around the outside, around the outside. And they will work it and just get a little nibbler on there in the top. Nom, nom, nom. So they lie 4, and Trevor, I'm with you. They got to draw in. Now, you see them looking at the hit there on the outside. I think the draw is definitely the call, so maybe they're just trying to figure out the ice. We don't have their mic working quite yet. We're going to try to get that straightened out the 4th end break.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think his broom being behind that rock tells me they're not going for any sort of in-off or trying anything hero, just trying to get the draw and cut down the damage.
And this is one where you can afford to be deep. A really good shot comes all the way back to the ones in the back 8 foot.
Absolutely. I'd be thrilled if I threw one all the way back there and stuck against those back 2.
So Patrick Doyon has final stone of the 3rd end. Facing 4. This needs to take the curl. It is really close to getting by. It just does. And it's going to come all the way down to the back. I hope he has a firearms permit, because that's a pistol.
Excellent shot there. Well executed sweep. Pushing a stone, not always easy at this level, especially with the WCF broom pads. You really got to be a great sweeper, great technique, put pressure on there, and really well executed there.
And being patient, because you really, before you can really help a rock over, it needs to almost be going already.
Absolutely. I love the ABC idea of sweeping, and if it's not past its B point, all you're doing is, theoretically, of course, making it go farther.
The ABC point, that sounds like explanations that I'd love to hear in the next end, but right now, Christian Rose, this is his last stone of the 3rd end. He faces 1. Just had a pistol put on him by his opponent. Final stone of the 3rd. This one's going to be on the guard. They're thinking plan B right now. Can they get up high enough to raise it in for shot? They will not. Can that stick? No, it's going to slide all the way by. It's a steal of 1. And Patrick Doyon with a big one with his last. Gets that steal and a 2-1 lead after 3. We'll be back from Pittsburgh. And welcome back. It's the fourth end action here at the 5 and Underworlds in the Pittsburgh Curling Club. Dave Schmel and Trevor Matthey here with you. And it was an absolute clutch shot by Patrick Doyon that got themselves out of a world of hurt and ended up getting a steal.
Absolutely, a well-executed shot there. Great team effort shot to sweep that around and get it back to those rocks that were stuck in the back eight.
Now, before that last rock, you had talked about the ABCs of sweeping. So please expound upon that for our listeners.
Yes, so, of course, you can take this with a grain of salt, as I'm myself a 5U curler, but a big theory I'm a fan of in sweeping is from the second the rock is out of its hand until the zenith of its trajectory, it's in the A point. From the time it starts to break until it loses momentum, and it's in its B point, and then the rest of the rock's trajectory is in its C point. So you can't really push a rock until it's at least in the B, where it's already started to move the other direction on its own. And then really when you want to finish a rock and push it hard, you need to wait until its C point, where its sideways momentum is greater than its forward momentum.
I say almost the same thing, but you sound smarter saying it. Then again, I'm just a salesman and entertainer, so and you're a scientist of some sort, or?
We can pretend I like to be one on the weekends, if that makes you feel better.
Now, what we see here is we're having a no-tick zone violation. So what the no-tick zone means is if any of those first guards are moved off the center line, it can go back at the non-offending skips option, and it's also like a lose a stone card. It's a huge penalty, which has really changed the way the game is played now. Because the tick shot had become such a big thing for the higher level teams. And now to have that come on out. The draw from Cameron is right to the top four.
I'll give credit where credit's due on my ABC sweeping theory. There's a great series out there on YouTube called Chess on Ice if you're a new curler.
Oh, that's by our good friend Ed Semia.
Certainly, that's his design there on the ABC.
That sounds very Ed-like, so I can buy that. Ed Semia, longtime member of the Nutmeg Curling Club in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
We have a biter check.
Check the biter, sure.
Draw comes right on down. Very good position. It's very important, and this is something that a lot of times your newer skips don't realize, is that you don't have to be counting until the end of the end. So many times they chase the counter, chase the counter, chase the counter.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. A lot of people get really hung up on, I need to be shot stone every shot, and certainly not always the best strategy.
Looking to add on into this pile here. The angles are starting to get interesting. Now they're kind of half moon together. It's going to get a little wick and roll them around and see. This is where we get to see how many of these players spent their misguided youth in a billiards hall.
This seems to certainly be a more common strategy even at the higher levels is these games quickly turn into almost like doubles curling as it's a race to the middle and then playing the angles.
Yep, they try to set up the angles, and I see it pretty much every week at all the different tournaments that we do. And it's setting up the angles, and then eventually somebody decides abort, and now we're doing it. That shuffles nicely. Is a fantastic result for Team Rose. Great shot by Tim Murphy. Managed to basically kill both of his opponent's stones, and they lie 1-2.
A little shoulder shrug there by the team. I think they had less confidence in themselves that they were going to make that than they needed. They did well there.
So now you're facing 2 under cover. What I think is the best way out of this?
Not easy. You know, it depends. Each skip's a little different when they don't have hammer on when they decide if they want to open the middle themselves versus chasing down and limiting ends. But I think with both those yellows above the tee line, you got to look at opening things up here.
So Jeremy Verveil, the skip throwing third, looking for the straight peel. Pressure switching sides here. I expect this to come with a decent amount of weight. Appeals on its way. And that's made no problem. Chris Rose just says, put it back.
These kind of ends quickly turn into a who blinks first. Either makes a larger peel and clears out one of the house stones in the house, or yellow misses a guard.
And the double in the middle is no gimme. This one is going to be significantly deeper. Might have to think about coming into the rings because it's going to anyway. Now, as to the death where going to come all the way back to the tee line. Did that set up a triple? I don't think so. You can make a double.
I think you certainly make a double there. You'd have to catch that top stone pretty thin to really think of getting a triple, and the potential that it probably jams on that red anyway.
So let's just get these two first. Jeremy will lean into this one here. And here's Verveil with the double takeout attempt. The hand goes up right away. It's out there a little bit, just a little set of the delivery. It's got to come on up, and you get one, and that's all you get. Didn't end up in the worst space, but you're still facing two right now.
Dave, what are your thoughts on calling for push sweeping on those normal weight and peel weight takeouts?
I would be of the belief that a stone traveling at that weight is unlikely to be pushed to any degree.
I would agree with you. It's I think it's going where it's going, and
well, a lot comes to your ABC, speech that we gave later, because there's your multiple components to the vector. So you have the longitudinal vector where it's traveling towards us on this sheet compared to the horizontal vector. And at takeout weight, that longitudinal vector is orders of magnitude higher than the horizontal vector. So sweeping it, if we believe it magnifies both vectors, components, it's just going to make it miss.
Absolutely. When the B point is in the parking lot, pretty difficult to push that over.
So interesting spot for that. Double takeout is available if they want to make it. The angle's pretty simple, about half a rock. You'll get both of them. Possibility of jamming, but I don't think you have to worry about that. You might clip your own out in the way. Certainly had to throw the takeout if you're Pat Doyon here.
Yeah, certainly an easy decision here. Got to do it.
They lead by one, but they're facing two, with their opponent having hammer. His first skip rock of end number 4. This line's pretty darn close. Off and on, back and forth. You might have waited just a touch too long. You did. But you're going to end up with a decent outcome.
Yeah, nice roll there.
You're going to lie second shot under a bit of cover. I know we don't have the best camera angle on the long view here, but you can see it is slightly underneath that guard. That guard's very high, so the stone in the rings is gettable, but it's still something you have to think about.
Yeah, I think from just looking at the angle here, it looks like you got to figure from the right-handed hack that stone's pretty inaccessible.
So Chris Rose looks like he's going to draw down to the stone that was just thrown and lie 2 that way. More important than anything else to make sure you get a deuce here. We have a good crowd on hand here at Pittsburgh, cheering on some of their favorite teams and some of their local favorites. Stone's on the way. If they can get it there, it's going to be golden. Can they just get it past the guard? The answer is no. It does wreck. And places second shot stone under better cover. So decision time here for Pat Doyon. I mean, he can draw under, which I think is his first instinct. Or you could probably go after shot stone and lie likely 2 and have your opponent throw against 2 with their last. But take a little bit more of the aggressive tact.
Yeah, I think it's tough to tell with these cameras, of course, but the lines there, I think if you could make a backline tap on that yellow, you may sit 3 or 4.
But at the same time, you can only see about half of that stone from the hack. You're going to be coming from the inside out, so it's not a gimme. You want to throw a shot you're more likely to make, and in general, the mature choice always starts with a D and ends in raw.
When in doubt, draw it out.
This one tight to the guard, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. Did not get there. So, Chris Rose lies 1. How can he draw up a way to a multiple score here? Let's see what they're thinking. Yeah, that's the Canucks. So going to try to draw on in for that second point. Plenty of room to do it. Line one. Final stone of the fourth end. Chris Rose, he needs to get really close to the 4 foot here. This one is not heavy. It is not wide. It has a standing appointment with that guard. It's going to be a single point, and we are all tied up after 4 at 2 apiece as we head to the break. We'll be back in 5 from Pittsburgh. Welcome back to the 500 Worlds here from the Pittsburgh Curling Club. All tied up between Team Doyon from Quebec and Team Rose from Denver. Dave Schmel and Trevor Matthew, we're happy to have you join us here today. And it has been a nip and tuck affair. Both teams have had their share of chances thus far, Trevor.
And they sure have a real back and forth here. Both every end so far almost coming down to a last shot draw for one or two.
Definitely been the kind of affair we've expected. Now, both these teams have already punched their playoff tickets. And it is Team Doyon from Quebec throwing the red stones. They have the hammer. Here's Cam Cabrera looking to dispatch his stone in the top four. This one is outside. It is going to curl in nicely. Going to make contact. Likely not going to stick around. Hit and spill. And away it goes. So here's lead rock thrower, Luc Verville. And his son calling the shots. Says to put it in the 4-foot, Pop. Luke is an electrician by trade. It comes on down into the top 12 foot. It's half undercover. Tim Murphy can see some of it here. Tim Murphy throwing second. Throwing the Manitoba tuck delivery on a stabilizer. Oddly enough, I threw half a tuck when I was on a stabilizer, but then when people said you had to start using a broom, they all showed me how to put it underneath my shoulder and put me more upright, and all of a sudden I didn't tuck anymore.
A good mix here at a 5U event of people who are still using stabilizers, using their brooms, different types of slides.
We forgot how to count for 5 for a moment. There's Tim Murphy now. One can see what I say by that Manitoba tuck. He's going to take his left leg. It's going to come all the way underneath his slide extension leg. And so basically his upper quadricep will rest on his slide foot. And despite looking incredibly painful, once you learn how to do it, it's not bad at all.
Can definitely be a useful slide, especially if you're someone who maybe is a little prone to putting weight on the rock. That really helps you because you've got that stabilizer heavily out in front of you.
And also gives you the benefit of generally keeping your sight line directly on the path of intended delivery and directly behind the rock. A lot of tuckers can be incredibly accurate. That stone, unfortunately, did just slide on by, so Anna Murphy's going to look to draw under cover. Only the single guard biting the 12-foot right now. This one's holding the line nicely. Can they get it past the guard? Yes, they can. Now bury it all the way home. And onto the top four it goes, and they lie too.
Contrôle nose.
See that he's going with the double here.
On est large, on est large.
Just gets the top one, and can they get it all the way out?
Just hangs around back there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look at the two different shot calls. That's the one I like. I was thinking initially of putting a third counter in and drawing open, but I think a guard has to be the way you go here.
Agreed. I think in a tight match like this, you figure nothing's particularly safe, so putting yourself on 3 or 4 probably not going to make much of a difference in the long run.
Now this one has plenty of room to come. Now it's taking that break. Might as well try to get a nibbler out of it. You're not going to cover anything. Is there full 12 foot?
Ça. Il faudrait essayer de toucher quelque chose, parce que trop mince, ça qui sort pas, c'est de la merde.
Ouais, mais là, on va sortir.
Ouais.
Oui,
Ok, fait que, let's go. Celle-là.
Ouais.
So he's going to hit and roll open here. I got that out of my translation of international broom tapping, not my extensive knowledge of French.
I was going to be impressed if you picked that up from the French.
On this one, just squeezes by, and they go the other way and get her cover. That is mighty tricky. They lie shot stone. Short run back
actually,
now.
I'm gonna go a little more. Yeah, I gotta hit. No, this is fine. Okay. I'm gonna go normal just to try and make sure. I don't want to not get that one up. Normal on this. So I just want to make sure we get them out.
Throwing like control.
Normal on this one.
Normal.
So normal weight, so that generally means it's about 9.5 seconds in between the hog lines.
I like the discussion there, making sure the team understands that we have a primary objective. Let's make that first.
So first skip stone on the way for Chris Rose. On it hard for the line. Gotta go or else you're never gonna get the one behind it. You touch it. Does it clear out the back? Does it make it? It's gonna hang on in the back for a second shot. Ooh,
Moi
unfortunate
j'irais plus
outcome
vers
there.
là. C'est ça. Ouais. Pas de pomme. Ouais. Pomme, tu veux mettre mon balai. Là.
So now the outcome here and where you're going to go. Hit and lie 2 here. So here's Patrick. with his first of 2 here in the 5th. Now, you see the differences here in the weight. This is a much more control, almost board type weight. Brings the sweepers into play, into the equation, and they're able to manage that shot and give themselves a result of being 1 and 2 with a canyon of separation between them. And so many times, Trevor, that's the important thing, is to throw the weight that's appropriate for the shot. Usually the correct weight, and your 500 skips can take note of this, that generally the minimum weight required to kill the rock is the best option.
Absolutely. I think sometimes people get hung up on throwing normal or throwing control, but if you can throw hack or throw board and give your sweepers a chance to help you out, oftentimes that's better.
So now Chris, in a tough spot, he's going to hit this and try to reduce the damage. There is a possibility at the slash, but you got to make sure job 1, you make contact with 1. So Chris Rose with his final of the 5th.
Yep.
This one, it's going to be really close for the slash. Needs to curl up just a hair more. Going to get the one. Do you get the other one in the back? Oh, just over the top.
Really close there.
And it will be a free draw for 2 for Pat Doyon. That just need to curl up a little bit more. They were on it a touch early. So he needs full 12 foot. Final stone of the 5th.
This looks a little on the fast side.
I think it's going to settle in just fine. Brushers are escorting it. Now Anna's going to see if she can pull it back. It's down to the backing, and there, no problem. So hang 2 of the board for red. It's 4-2 after 5 from Pittsburgh. Welcome back to Pittsburgh Curling Club. 6N action here from 500 Worlds. A very patient 2 points there, Trevor Matthey, for Team Doyon.
Absolutely. You know, I think we had this discussion just a little earlier. It's not always about being shot stone every single rock of the end. It's about putting it in together, being in control, and leaving yourself opportunity.
And by managing that opportunity the whole time, that's what allowed them to, with just a half shot from their opponent, end up making that deuce. So the center guard is up and indeed on the center line. The draw under is going to be also a guard. are going to continue the draw dance. Luc Verville. Trying to walk it over now. He's trying to accentuate that curl now that it's happened. And they end up at the top 4, wide open. You see Chris Rose calling for the pop and flop. Looking to pop the red stone out and flop underneath the guards. Tim's on this one the whole way down. Is he going to get past that top guard? He does, and past the second one.
A little more than a flop, but mission accomplished.
And if they're listening out there, that was an opportunity for the Gillette Company to sponsor that close shave of the game.
Gillette, please contact the Pittsburgh Curling Club for more sponsorship information.
We're happy to do that. I mean, if not, those chic people and those big people are calling. I'm just saying. Got to get it in front of the competition. Now, Sylvain makes that takeout without a problem. Chris called that shot quite quickly to draw underneath. It's taken that line now. It's been thrown at maximum weight, so they really can't even sweep it to try to push it. They had to wait till the very, very end before they even had an opportunity there. And that's, I don't know, had you thrown it maybe 2 or 3 feet lighter, you might be able to bring your brushers into that more. It is still pretty much fully open.
Certainly always a question, especially at the 5U level, is you'll see people giving times and calling the exact weights for a shot rather than maybe what's the weight to be 2 or 3 feet short and let the sweepers have control.
Then again, you're assuming that you can actually hit a split time that it's been requested, which is always an interesting thing.
It's certainly a crapshoot.
One of my normal teammates refuses to give me a split time now because she knows I'll throw about 15 hundredths later than it. And then if she gives it to me and I know that I think that she knows that I know that she knows that I think that I know, well then it's a whole paradox. This one is a little bit too toasty, but it will hang right onto the back. So there's a Marv there in the back.
Dave, for our newer curlers out there maybe watching, are you a fan of split times first? Are you a fan of feel first?
Well, the stopwatch is a tool. It's a valuable tool. But if I were to teach you how to be a carpenter and just handed you a hammer, you wouldn't be able to do anything until I showed you how to hit a nail with it. So you need to learn the skill before you can apply the tool. So I encourage all new curlers to first try to sweep intuitively and get a good feel for that. And one of the most important things to do that is to actually be all the way back in the hack with people delivering the rock. Far too often I see newer curlers waiting up at the hog line for the rock to get to them. And you've already given up a good 20% of your available data when you do that. So once you get to be a good intuitive sweeper, then I am all for applying the tool and trying to refine your skill more. But even with that, this game is so much about keeping track of where stones have went down and what particular pass. And this stone's coming on down. We're going to try to draw on in here. They are without the hammer and no corner guards, so they're playing just towards the middle. They can squeak this underneath. It's there now, pound it home. Get there as much as undercover as you can. And you do lie shot stone right there just at the top of the 8-foot. I was talking earlier in the weekend about research that Eugene Ritzik is doing at the University of Saskatchewan, and they constructed a rock throwing machine, and they threw the exact rock at the exact velocity with the same number of rotations down the same line more than 50 times in a row. And when they first threw it, it was just about a one guard, about 6 feet over the hog line. By the time they got to rock number 40, it was almost to the back circle, just by going down the same line. Now, the interesting thing, Trevor, is that the professor who was doing this had to take a break, and of course, being a scientist, recorded the exact time which he had to go utilize the facility and then come back and resume the trials. He was off the ice and paused trials for about 4.5 minutes. And in that 4.5 minutes, that stone that previously was on the back circle now was in the top 8.
Absolutely. I think that's an invaluable display of just how complex curling really is, and how the environment and every stone and how much it's swept, the ice is just constantly changing.
And if you hadn't been paying attention to that, and you've been married to your stopwatch and everybody's precious split times, you would never be able to make that assessment. So I just gave you about a $7.43 answer to a nickel question. One thing that's sure is that was, as the great Bob Uecker would say, just a bit outside. So now, Jeremy Verville, quite happy with the situation they find themselves. Without hammer, they lie 2 right now. Or 1, rather. But they do have that control rock, so either a guard or a little tap right down to it would probably be a good play. And here's Patrick with his first. This line is absolutely gorgeous. And it's in a good place. Now let's see what
Other option is hit.
Chris has lined up here.
Let's draw one first.
So here, there, he's going to throw a draw undercover first, rather than throwing a hit. I think that's the best way to get your 2 points. If you were to open things up, you're only inviting a better shot from your opponent in return, so.
I would agree with that. Unlikely that Doyon double guards there, so if you don't get to the button, good chance they try a draw or a double promote of their own to do it.
So first and 2 on the way for Chris Rose. This one is a bit strong. It says good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Now, interesting shot selection here. You see, Jeremy called Patrick to draw undercover now. Danger I see with this shot is if you ever leave it hanging out there, you're leaving access for your opponent.
Yeah, certainly you don't want to leave any chance at a hit and roll here.
Oh, or even something just to draw down to and hit, because this is your last, and then hammer is upcoming after that. So this is the final stone for red here in the sixth. If anything, you want to miss this stone light.
Absolutely. I think even a bump of the yellow, you're happy with that. So light is the miss, and light looks like what it will be.
That is the pro side to be on now. Should be nothing but a draw here, but
They're a little easier this way.
trying to decide what side to come on.
Right. I think it's a little easier this side. I mean, we can try this side. I just don't know at this wide it's how it's going to cut. Yeah, I touched 4.
You see him placing the broom all the way there on the edge of the 12 foot.
I
I
think it's fine.
understand his concern there. Haven't thrown much out that wide, so not sure what the
So
line will end
touch
up
one.
being.
Here. I think so. We'll get it in.
Even now a blade outside. So we're entering the undiscovered country. He faces 1, trailing by 2. Really has to get a score here in the all-important 6th end. Christian Rose, final stone. This has got plenty of line. It's going to be all about the weight. It's taking the line now. Should have enough curl to get there if they can get it there. It is on line. It is on course for the 4 foot. Can they drag it all the way there? You got to touch the red. No, you won't get it there. And it's a steal of 1. And Team Doyon will take a 4-point lead into the 7th end. We'll be back from Pittsburgh in just a moment. Welcome back to the Pittsburgh Curling Club. It's end number 7 here. It's a 5-2 lead for Team Doyon from Quebec. Take a look at around the rings right now. Over on sheet B, it is Team Blyven playing in the set. In the 6th end, they have a 8-5 lead. It is Team Lee throwing with hammer there. Over on sheet D, Benjo Delamarte, I curl at every curling club of the United States, has a 5-4 lead, playing in end number 7. And Team Yours scored in the 6th end, likely tied up or with the lead over Team Pekar. That game is playing at number 7. So there are still playoff implications here, and you can check in on some of those other games as they are going on our main stream, which covers all 4 sheets. Back over here on sheet C. Chris Rose has to get something going here. And having a hog stone likely was not part of those plans. So we have the center guard up. Jeremy asked his dad to draw one in. So when you're down by 3 here, you definitely need to score 2s. How are you going to generate it now that you're down a guard there, Trevor?
Yeah, that Hogstone certainly doesn't help your case any, or I think at this point, knowing you've only got 2 ends left to work, you're going to try again, put up another corner, and you're in that point where you've got to kind of ignore the middle as long as you comfortably can and just try to set up an end on the outside and hope Doyon can't build up too much on you.
So you see Cam Cabrera in the hack right now.
Let's
They're going to come down to the shot stone right now. I like this call. Playing open is not a good thing when you're down by 3 right now. You're going to need to use your opponent's stones.
Absolutely. Either you're throwing guards or you're hiding behind what's already there.
Throwing a guard would not have been a bad call, but down to this stone in play is very good. As we mentioned earlier, don't have to be shot yet, just have to have it there, and he can now start to work those rocks back a little bit. They did tap their opponent. So interesting conversation here from Jeremy. He's thinking of just corner hooking this here and throwing a guard. Removing it is okay too. This has sufficient weight to get down to their own stone. It's going to tuck their own further under cover. And the shooter is fortunate to roll far enough back to not leave a double opportunity.
Can't do this, so we'll end up behind them. We can do this now. Let's do this now. Nose. Right on nose.
So he's electing for the nose hit and the stone in the 8-foot.
I liked his discussion there on we can't end up behind them because that's really limiting your path to 2 almost immediately.
And really, you're still not giving up on 3 yet. Tough to do that without a guard. Now, some people would actually throw a guard in that situation.
Yeah, I don't think either strategy is right or wrong, or whatever your team's comfortable with making.
Jeremy is perfectly happy with the status quo and is willing to preserve it. This is détente as much as he's concerned. Just kept on gliding forever. Must have been that excellent job cleaning the running surfaces of the stones you did on Wednesday.
Absolutely. That is the difference maker.
Ice makers clean that with the mineral spirits or camp fuel, if you like. Call it glide juice. Makes those stones run forever. Now here's Murphy, and I like this. Coming on in here and cradle. Now you gotta get past that guard. Gotta go lean on it hard. Okay, Cam's got the line pass, does he? Oh, it does sneak by. Just didn't have the legs. So very close for shot Stone right now.
Pareil, fait que j'irai là. Tendance à dire que c'est bon, par exemple.
He thinks that the side of the 8-foot here is good to come on down, tap back. See the patch on their shirt. They participate in the Colts series, which is a 5 and under series that is in both Quebec and in the Ottawa area. I participated in that at one point in my ute. Jeremy Verveil with his stone on the way, trying to come on down to the shot rock and move it ever so slightly. He started this one outside, and now it's turning. All the finishes coming late. It's moving dead sideways right now and right down to shot Stone. Yeah, you tapped up your opponent a skosh, but man, where do they go from there, Trevor?
That is a tough position looking at our overhead view there. I do believe red is actually still shot.
But it's just like back four. Back four. Maybe eight.
Tough call if you want to tap again here because you know red can just follow you down with heavy weight and blow it all right back out.
Yeah, so the thing is you want to just squeeze on by and even come across the face of the stone that you're tapping. If you get enough movement on the yellow, you'll be able to set up so that slam and return doesn't actually kill your own rock. You can't be on the wrong side of this rock right now, and right now you are. Gonna get the little tap, push it around, shimmy it, but there's the problem. You left it open somewhat. You can see a good half of the rock. Couple different ways in there. I mean, if Jeremy wants to be bold and daring, I think he can actually kill both those yellows. That double is there. And when you're up by 3 points, losing an opponent's stone is always a good idea.
Absolutely. I think that's a shot you potentially take on no matter what, and you're happy with clearing either stone, and the double's the bonus.
His dad Luke is being a good front end player and keeping track of the time clock. So he checks his delivery, kicks and fires his final stone of at number 7. They're going to get the hit. Not the slash. They do roll open. At least Team Rose line 1, but once again, precious little real estate to work with. See what Chris is thinking here.
So right there.
There you go. He wants to nestle on in. Try to throw a setup shot here. He's still at least 2 stones away from scoring a multiple here.
Teetering right on the edge here of trying to set up your own 2 because you're down, and also risking giving up something big if you miss a shot.
Well, you're down by 3 with 2 ends to play. If you don't score, you're surely not winning. You don't score 2, you don't have much of a chance, so you got to try to set something up. This one is hanging out there like discarded laundry. And he might be able to use that later to run something in, but the angle is actually not terrible for it. It's also extremely high degree difficulty shot. But if you ever were to make that angle run, that yellow onto the pile of reds, it would go pretty much no problem. Now, are they discussing
What?
the run? Oh, see, there you go. Patrick just indicated that that is there. And it goes pretty well.
Everybody's seeing the same thing here, absolutely.
Now, it's a question of, are you worried about your opponent having that shot? Sometimes you say, God bless you, go throw it.
There is something to be said sometimes for, kudos to you if you can make this. I'll leave it to you.
They tend to think that guarding access to their red is the better form here. His first of 2 on the way. That last little bit of finish definitely helped him out. Although it is gunned up to go onto the red.
I don't know that we've got any way to get 2 here.
Really help you. And timeout is called. So the team's going to come on down and have a conversation about this. They're going to get to have a good long conversation being on the far end. Even if they don't have a coach with them, they get the full benefit of the travel time to the far end.
You got to take 2 of the 2 without hammer. Because if you put anything here, they have a chance to chip out.
Yeah.
Boned. If you put anything here, it's fine.
We'll give him that one.
That's fine. Unless,
I mean, the only
you put one
put
here.
something here so you can run it across, get this one
Well,
hot.
I think you would be putting, and then you
Well,
would,
no,
you would suicide off here.
Yeah, that's risky. It's the better idea would you hit this, you come across and hit this one here.
You're leaving that,
Yeah, I know,
which is hard.
but it's there.
And it's over. No, let them take that all day. It's fine. Okay, we have 1 minute left. So I think you either try to put one here and you try to chip off your own, or I think
Because down to
with a hammer.
desperation time. Let's have a little fun. We'll put one out here. Okay.
Now again, the only
Okay,
thing
so
is you're setting up,
I know they could do the same thing, right? Got to be around here.
or you put it maybe a little farther out so they don't, and then you got to hit it off.
Yeah.
Put it on the wing.
I mean, it's as wide as I can go. I can't go in and out here unless I go through this port. With that, I'll open it up for that if I chip. So we got to go all the way edge.
Okay, so here, Trevor, they're calling a setup shot. They're going to leave a stone they can run in later. Heard some concern from Cameron that they could potentially have their opponent do that. I don't think your opponent's ever trying that. They're quite happy to give you one.
Yeah, I can't imagine if they were to put that out there that the other team would care too much. Again, that's one of those the other team probably bows and says, hey, kudos to you if you make that.
Yeah. Oh, now we're going to come around the other side. So all that discussion looking at one side, now we're going to come around the other. Taking a look around the rings, Wysocki has a 1-stone lead over Delamonte. They're playing in the 8th. Benjo has the hammer. Blyven with a strong 9-5 lead right now, playing in number 7. And all tied up over on sheet A. You can catch all those games on our YouTube. And if you haven't yet, please take a chance and give us a thumbs up in the video and subscribe. Help us out with the algorithms. The more we can bring curling, the more we can support keeping curling here in Pittsburgh. So gotta drag this one on in if you're ever gonna be able to use it later. Gotta leave an angle. Don't know if that's deep enough, Trevor.
Tough to tell from our overheads here. It is, a slightly skewed view, but a good chance that red's in the way, or even the angle there. Unlikely to be able to clear the red out without also clearing your yellow.
Let's see.
Il n'y a pas de danger ben, je pense. Danger de frapper ça, peut-être, mais... OK. Ouais.
He's looking to see if the angle is there. Doesn't look to be beneficial. But an easy way to do it is to just kill it. So he's checking to make sure what angle he can't hit it at.
Stuff nose!
So finals down for Patrick Doyon. Hit a dead nose. No problem there. Removes the threat stone. So now let's see if they can draw anything up. I don't think they can.
The first one for the... One more. Hammer.
And you heard it right there. They are just going to throw it into the boards. Hustle on back, save what's left of your time.
Interesting decision here. You'll be down 2 still in the 8th without hammer. Do you ever try a long run back here or a really wide draw, knowing you've got that right side of the 4-foot to work with?
Yeah, I mean, potentially you might be able to get a draw there. I think I might have taken a shot at the bingo shot, that long run. Very, very tough to score 2, but it will be a single point for yellow. They'll trail by 2. The team for Quebec will have the hammer in end number 8 when we return from Pittsburgh in just a moment.
They're here.
Here we go. We're going to take a live look in over to sheet B. We have a double takeout for 4 being tried. This is an important shot here for Team Lee to stay in. He's got to throw this skinny crosshouse double.
It's close. Get a 3 out of it. Rather have a 3 than a 2. Yeah.
Here's Jason Lee with his final stone of the 7th. This one needs to curl on over. It's going to be really close for the double. Making contact with the 1. Do you work your way over? Do you get 2? Make contact! Oh, you just got a deuce, I do believe. And they are still going to be hanging around in the game. They'll trail by 2 and then number 8. So stay tuned over on Sheet B. You can catch that on our other stream right now. Back here to our featured game. The center guard is up for Team Rose. Doyon puts 1 in. Second guard on the way from Cam Cabrera.
So Team Rose here, we heard the skip say in the last end, desperation mode. So they're going full desperation mode and going to work to the center and try to set up whatever steal they can.
Now the important thing is you can't stop and say these 2 guards are enough. You need to throw, in my opinion, at least 2 more guards before you consider coming in. I know you need to steal 2, but you have to stay focused on the task. You need to let that detritus accumulate up in front of the rings.
Yeah, and even at the 5U level, those tight guards, you know, a double peel, very possible.
I would be throwing a guard right now on the other side of the rings.
As we talked about, the often preferred shot, though, of 500 curler is the hit and roll, so that's what's on the way.
And here is the hit. Can they make the proper roll? No, they're going to scoot right on over. And now that stone's going to go away. It's going to like you never threw it. He can make it go away, or he can rip the guards. The guards are more the danger stone here. So Sylvain will try to dispatch these with all prejudice. Peel weight on the way down. Gonna get one by the other one. Did leave a corner guard. Now he says put the guard back. Might actually not be a bad call to put it in the gap and guard the one that you have in the rings now. Utilize that corner guard, draw a second one underneath there, and then make it tougher later.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm just maybe a bit surprised here they don't put a little guard in between the hole there.
Well, they have been moving around like time is probably might not be on their side. Haven't had a chance to look at their time clocks. Guard is made.
Was able to sneak over and take a look there. Time actually okay here. Team Rose has about 4 minutes. Team Doyon with about 2.5.
Plenty of time. This next peel attempt is on the way. Does peel. They did not catch anything on the way by. Now they're just going to go on back. See, we got patient. I just think we got patient one rock later than we needed to get patient. But here's the key. He's just going to keep on putting them up. We're in what I like to call shampoo curling now. We're lather, rinse, and repeat.
Absolutely. If you're Team Rose here, you've committed to this strategy, so it's your only hope now with 4 rocks left. This is the strategy, and you got to go with full commitment at it.
This one has to get over the hog line, though. Lean into it every inch. Cam and Pat trying to carry it over. Tim rather, didn't matter. Tom, Tim, Rick, Morty, and Will couldn't get that over, unfortunately. And now the next peel can come on down. I see Jeremy thinking about addressing the one in the rings, but Patrick wants him to just play the peel. More important to not leave a guard here. That is going to make the peel and remove both stones, the guard and the thrown one. The guard has to come back now. Got to make it. You already missed one. You miss another one. Could be the death knell. So Anna Murphy looking to dial on that weight just a little bit better.
Absolutely. These stones here getting progressively more and more important.
This one, while she made a positive adjustment, did kind of corkscrew there at the end. So in an interesting spot. Time to throw the peel again. They're in the prevent defense there. Just to make sure the prevent doesn't prevent you from winning. This needs to curl up just a skosh. And it does. That peel goes no problem. The rocks go flying.
So certainly going to be some discussion here. With 2 rocks left, that center strategy.
I mean, they've got this hit. They've got all this stuff going on. Or we come over here. Yeah, I know, but otherwise this is wide open for a hit here, too.
Well, you want that, right? So you want them to put here, and then they have it open, then you have another chance to
Yeah.
with this guard, at least. If you
All
do
right.
that,
We'll go here.
done.
So you see the conversation there. And going through that conversation, I think that if you're ever going to win this game, you need to be putting the guard back one more time.
I would agree. I understand the idea of getting underneath there, but if you're only in the top 4 foot, you're talking a 2.5 foot run back hit there to end the game, essentially.
That's right. So, I mean, there is something to be said for drawing under to the 8 foot on the side, because the draw path is somewhat obscured by your opponent's own rock, so it'd be either a tap or a draw to like the side of the 4 foot. But here's the first on the way from Rose. Line looks really good. Got to get there for weight. You want to be as tight to this guard now, bring it as deep as he can, and you just let it run out of juice.
They did get it on, though, so they have 2 touch in the paint. As Monty Python would say, they're not dead yet.
So Pat Doyon's going to address shot stone here. Going to be a little bit different because you're coming inside out. Haven't thrown a tremendous amount with this turn thus far in this contest. is first to 2 here in the 8th. This needs to curl. It's a little hot. They're going to try to make it curl. Don't think it's going to come far enough. Past everything. So now let's listen to this conversation.
I think we hit here and roll here. Yeah, they just have to miss a draw then. We got to make sure we hit it.
He might come to the half.
I want that gone so that we have 3 and we cover up the front with a little something, make them throw a draw.
I agree. I think you get rid of this.
So here there's the strategy there. He wants to make his opponent play
Right,
against
so they can't
the
just hit
loss.
this.
Yeah. And if they do hit, we want them to try to hit. They might roll out.
Yeah.
I
So I
agree.
think-
I love that call there. I think that's what you have to do.
Board. Yep.
Put
Okay.
the pressure on and give yourself a chance.
I love the weight choice here board because you absolutely have to keep the shooter if this is the situation that you're going.
Yeah. Yeah, board.
Yeah, certainly. If that shooter goes, you leave Doyon a wide open hit on whichever stone they choose to end the game.
So Chris Rose, the Minnesotan, now residing in Denver, his final stone of the 8th. Gotta hang this one on, gotta hold it. Cam is working hard to hold it. You gotta get past your own. It is really tight. Oh no, you wreck. And that will do it. That is a victory for Team Doyon. And it does appear that they were City 1, so you can make the final score 6-3. And they will win and move on in the playoffs. Both teams will be in the playoffs. We're going to have the seeding for that later. Over on sheet D, it was Benjo Delamarte coming in with with a score in the 8th end to have a 7-6 victory. Team Blyven pulled out the win against Team Lee. And still a tight finish over on sheet A. You can pick that up on our other channel to catch a finish on that game. Our next broadcast will be at 7 o'clock. Be sure to join us then for the beginning of the playoffs here from the 500 Worlds from the Pittsburgh Curling Club. For Trevor Matthew, I'm Dave Schmel. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you later.